Hello everyone. Today's tutorial is a bit different from what we normally do here. This is a video for making charms and how to put them in Rocket League. To start with, there's a few things you would need to do. The very first thing is to join the Rocket League map making Discord server. You can search it up on Google or on Twitter. You will find it there. Once you're in there, you will go straight to the announcements channel, and there's a whole section here for Alpha Console 2.0, which is what we're working with, and this is for the charms and custom cars, but this video you're watching is specifically for charms. So give this a read. We have a channel for Alpha Console. You also have a channel for UDK help. UDK is the program we will be using. So from there, you will need Simple Shark's UDK tutorial series. Again, you can search that up on YouTube, or it is in map making server. This is very important. This teaches you how to download and set up UDK. I absolutely hate UDK, so I will not be helping with any issues with it. I've had so many issues with UDK. Watch Simple Shark's tutorial. I'll even link it in the description as well. It runs through how to set it up. It gives you assets you can download and use to work in Rocket League. Yes, include setting up, getting to know how to use UDK. The next thing is a 3D software. You can get any 3D software you want. I use Blender. If you use something else, then you can follow along in your software. And as a PSA, I've recorded a custom rules tutorial video already. I'm just waiting on a few assets so I can finish off editing and then upload it. So this will be coming soon, TM. So for this video, we're going to be making a charm. And if you head down, once you've joined the map making server, if you want to join along with this tutorial, if you go down to Alpha Console, this image here is what we'll be using to make our charm. This is the John Sandman logo. So you can download this and follow along, or you can just watch on how to do things. And if you're experienced with 3D software, obviously you won't need to watch that bit, but you will need to watch the UDK import and settings that we use. I should also say the reason for this video is there is another tutorial. It's a text tutorial from Aceman. The steps that I'd done that he provided didn't work for me. Now, what you're going to see in this tutorial is pretty much a one-for-one copy of what Aceman said, apart from, I think, the very first step. So if you go to Help Forum, and was it Help Forum? Huh? Oh, Guides. Guides Forum, how to make charms in Alpha Console, or for Alpha Console. Click that, head all the way up to the top, and again, he runs through things, steps. You got all your steps to follow. Yeah, so follow this. Again, charms is a Patreon membership. If you want custom charms, you need to be a member of Alpha Console Patreon and have it linked inside of Alpha Console. So download this, watch Simple Shark's tutorial on setting up UDK, getting all your textures, texture packs in, get your 3D software, and we're ready to go. So we first open up UDK after setting everything up, and we're welcomed with this screen. What we're going to do is hit New Map. and blank map. Once it loads up, you'll just have a dark screen, and we can then close this Welcome to UDK, just like that. The very first thing we're going to do is come up to File and Save As. And this is where it normally saves. This is where my default path. So UDK Custom, UDK Game, Content, Maps. I'm going to select all files. And I'm just going to call this js.upk. This file format is very important for my tutorial. The one that Aceman does it as UDK and then converts it. So we're going to go js.upk and save. Once it saves, it will refresh down here. We'll have a JS group like that. And we're good to go. And just as we are now, I'm going to hit save current level. Now we're going to open up Blender. And I'm going to, actually, before we do anything, cast these on. There we go. So down here, you have my keyboard shortcuts. Oh my god, I can't talk this morning. So you can follow along with that. So select everything, delete, everything's gone. I'm going to add our JS logo. So add image, image is plain. And I'm going to locate this logo if I can. Where did I put it? JS. So as it is currently, it just looks like a square, but if we head up to our material view and select all viewport view and click this next one, we have the JS logo. So as we move around, we have this Z bubble or ball up top. So I'm going to click that, and we're now in a top-down view showing the JS logo. I'm going to hit Add Mesh Plane. I'm going to select the logo, select on Sandman. I'm going to hit S, and then we're going to scale. We don't want it too big so the logo gets close to the top or the sides. So about here will be fine. Then I'm going to hit plane. What we're going to do is cut out the all the parts of the John Sandman logo from this plane. There is another way of importing 3D models. You can do a PNG to SVG converter and then bring that in. What I found with that is there's a lot of vertices and it looks a bit weird in game. Like you'll see like breaks in the logo, but I can show you what that looks like when we load into the game later on. So for now, we're going to do it this way manually. As this is a simple logo, we can take the time to do this. I will put a timestamp on screen or in the comments where you can skip to if you don't want to watch this. So with our plane selected, I'm going to hit Tab to come into edit mode, and I'm going to hit K for knife. Now, as we're in this top-down view and we have our knife out, we don't want to move our viewport because from then we can't re-click to get back because we're still using the knife. So what we want to do is scroll wheel in and out for zoom, hold down Shift and middle mouse button for moving, and that's how we will get around. If we don't hold Shift and do this, we're back to that same problem. So, K for knife, I'm going to start up here, and we're simply going to click and cut around this logo, like so. I might speed this up a bit, but for the most part, now you can see what we're doing. So as I click, I'm going to hold down Shift and middle mouse button and then drag. So our view moves. And we can just continue going along here. Again, shift and middle mouse click, just to make sure you don't mess up the viewport. And once we come back, we're going to link up with our very first cut that we made. And once we've done that, I'm going to hit enter. Now, as you see, we've got all these lines. So I'm going to just select, face select. I'm going to select what we've cut out, which is just the J. Going to hit P and by selection. If we come tab back into object mode, as you see, we now have a new plane, plane 1. If I move this up, we have the J that we've just created. So for now, I'm going to hide that. Click back on our plane, back on Z, tab into edit mode, K to knife, and we're going to start again. Now we're going to do the S. So now we've joined up. I'm going to hit enter again and face select. So these lines that come out here, it doesn't look like we're actually going to get any interference, but we will see when we start the next part. So again, we've selected it. I'm going to hit P by selection. Tab back into object mode. Select our plane. We can see that it's now completely separate. We'll hide it. Select our old plane. Come back into Z, top-down view. Tab into object mode. K for knife, and we're going to do it again. Okay, we are finished cutting out. It looks like nothing got intercepted, so what I will do is just show you what can happen. So we're fine with that. So let's say you've done a logo and you have these extra attachment lines that are coming out, and you still need to cut out some more of your logo. What we're going to do is come down and let's use this area here as an example. So I've got my knife and we're cutting out, and what will happen is your knife will automatically attach to these lines. So you can zoom in and get as close as you want. To try and work around it. But what we will do is from here, we'll just simply join up to where we started and press enter. Now when I select, you can see that only this part has selected, or this part has selected because of this line that runs through. A simple way around that is to click one area, hold down shift, click the other area, and then just P as normal. P as normal, and then selection, back into object mode, and there it is, just the same as normal. The only downside is those lines getting in the way as you cut out, and obviously having to select all parts that are affected by it. But that's pretty much it. So we can hide this plane now. We don't need it. We have all of our cutouts. Whoops. We have, that's the logo, that can go. We have all of our cutouts. What I will do is just set all these values back to 0 so they're in the same place. Whoops. 0. There we go. So now we're good. What we're going to do now is, what shall we do now? Let's make them 3D. Let's give them a bit of depth. So we're going to click the top one, the J, tab into edit mode, A for all, E for extrude, Z for the Z axis, which is this blue line, and as we move our mouse, you can see it extruding. What we'll do, we'll bring it down through the object so we can go up through the object, but we're going to go down. We're going to left click and it will bring up this box down here. And this is the value that we just set. So what I'm going to set this to is 0.1. So all of our 0.05. There we go. And the 0.05, that's a minus. Z minus 0.05. And that's the value we're going to do to all of our objects. So we're going to come onto the S tab, A for all, E for extrude, Z for the Z axis. We're going to bring it down. Again, it doesn't matter how much we bring it down because we're going to open this menu. Minus 0.05. Done. Tab AEZ minus 0.05. AEZ minus 0.05. Cool. So now we're done. We're done making it 3D. What we're going to do now is we're going to add some color to it. So I'm going to click on I'm going to start with these left or these side images. We're going to come into our shading tab. And what we're going to do is make a new material. Now the material that we create here won't be imported into UDK. This is just so we can get an idea of what this will look like, and we can get our color values so we can import or we can add those into UDK. So for these side panels, I'm thinking, I don't know, what should we, does John have any color schemes? Hang on, we'll make a cut here. He doesn't have any color schemes that I can see. So the idea I have is we're going to make this JS like an hourglass, so the S will be sand and the J will be like a white grey color. So for these sides, we'll just make them a medium grey. So we've called this material 1. As there's only 4 parts to this, we're not really going to worry about renaming them. So this is material 1. I'm going to come over here and assign material 1 to this other side panel. So for the J, or for the S even, we're going to go into UV unwrapping. Now UV unwrapping, for those of you who do decals, you will know to some extent what this is, but this is placement of the UV mesh to show textures, to show decals. Now luckily it's already from the knife, it has already created a UV map. What I will do later on in the video, we will do, rather than cutting out a texture or an image, we will import one as SVG, and I will show you the difference. But from here, we're going to select all, and we're going to do that. You can see we got the S, and that's pretty decent. We can adjust this if we need to. Whoops. We can move it, we can rotate it, whatever we want. I think for the purpose of this tutorial, I don't think we need to do anything. Normally I would rotate it, but as we're going to fill sand up from the bottom, it will look better having it the way it is at the moment. However, what we will do, or what I will show you, is if you come over to this right screen, hit U on your keyboard and do, let's do something like project from view with bounds. This is an unwrap, so that's everything we have selected on this S has now been unwrapped and now looks like this. But let's put that back to what it was. So what we want is our texture of sand to cover this area. Let's come onto the J, and what we'll do, we'll give it a new material, and we'll make this we're not going to have a transparent look for the glass, so we'll make this a darker white color, maybe, to represent glass. We'll go about there. Again, the reason for this is we simply want the hex value so we can add this into UDK. So what I'm going to do now is go looking for sand textures. Let's bring this over here so you guys can see as well. You could do this one. Let's save this image, front enlarge, or whatever. We're now gonna, whoops, that's the wrong one. We're now going to front enlarge with our S selected. We're gonna hit new material, minimize blender, click on our texture, simply drag and drop, and then connect it up. So looking at this, I'm thinking we can scale this down a bit. If we come into UV editing, we can see what it looks like. So if I was to move this around, you can see the texture moving on this side. Again, this is for placement. So what I'm thinking is if we can bake a texture for this. So you will need Node Wrangler set up for what I'm about to show you. So edit, preferences, add-ons, Node Wrangler. Click this, make sure this is ticked, then click refresh and close. Click on your texture, Control T, and it automatically adds these two. What we want is scale X and Y, so I'm going to hold down left click on scale X, and I'm going to drag down the scale Y, and then if I move left and right, it will then adjust the scale for both of them. So I'm going to say, something like that, 4.9. Actually, you know what? Let's make it 5. So I'm going to go 5, and then simply hold this and drag down. It does it for both. I can press enter. No, we got a cut here. Okay, let's not do 5. Let's adjust this back down. .9. We've got a bit here, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. 2.9. So from here, what we're going to do is Shift A, search for image. We're going to do image texture. We're going to make a new one. We're going to do 2048. It doesn't need to be this high. I'm used to doing 2048, but for UDK, it doesn't need to be this high. And I'm going to call this bake. So we're going to OK this. We're going to come on to our render properties over here, change this to cycles, CPU, and we're going to put this down to 0 and set this to 5. This can be lower. I'm used to doing 5. We're going to set it to 5. We want our S selected. We want our bake image selected. We can come over to bake. We're going to choose diffuse, and we want to untick direct and indirect. So this is the setup you want. You just want diffuse and color selected. We're then going to hit bake. Once it's done, it will show up here. Here's our S with the sand on it. and we can image, save as, let's call this S-Bake. Save as. I'm going to come over here, disconnect this. I'm then going to open and go down to S-Bake, open image. Okay, let's do it a different way. S-Bake. Done. So this is now our texture. So from here, what we're going to do is join everything together so that all of these separate meshes are joined as one. We no longer need our JS logo. That can be deleted. We no longer need the plane. That can be deleted. So what we're going to do is over on here, we have plane 01. Hold down shift, click plane 04. That selects everything. Then Control J for join. So now everything is one. Normally what you have seen on my Blender scenes video is we'll do a parent, which means each object will still be selectable, but it will be joined and follows a main separate object. Here everything is joined as one, but if we go into shading and we drop down our slots, we still see we have all of our individual slots available. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to come to our X, let's do a Y view. So on our bubble up here, we'll just hit Y. We're going to select our object and we're going to find a rotation where it, where it will now face us. So this way. So 90 degrees. Actually, there we go. This is the way we want it. From here, the way the charms work, this intersection, this blue line and this red line where this dot is, where this red and white logo is, this is the point of where the charm will be connected inside Rocket League. So we want our charm to be connected at the top of the J. So what we're going to do is move this down out of room until this is roughly on this line. And as we come over the top, if we do a top-down view, you'll see this, where the charm will connect, will be on the outer edge. We don't want that. We want that to be in the center. So we'll bring this across. So it's roughly in the center. We can move that down as well. So this is what we have. What we're going to do is file. We want to select our object. Make sure it's selected. File, export, FBX. I'm going to call this JS because I think JS is in the other folder. And what we want is limit to selected objects. We want the mesh. I also have other selected, so click mesh, hold down shift, click other. And following, if you watched Simple Shark's tutorial, you would know all of these settings. He also shows you how to run through and create a preset, which I have. So this is what you want. Selected objects, mesh, other, custom properties, all local, Z forward, Y up. Geometry, I think this is default. Armature, again, I think default. And as there's no information, as there's no animation, I don't have this checked. So with all of that done, I'm going to hit Export FBX. If I minimize this, here is our JS that we just made. So we're going to come into UDK. We're going to make sure our JS texture or package is selected. Going to hit Import and JS. Open. So package, everything we create wants to be in the JS package. So always make sure you have this as JS. We're importing a static mesh, so to keep things simple for us, the name JS, we're just going to do underscore SM. So John Sandman static mesh. We're going to hit OK, and this doesn't matter, so we're going to hit OK to that. Once this is up, double click on this, it opens up the properties menu, and with this selected, you see we've got this yellow line. If I click off of it, we don't have a yellow line or box. Make sure this is selected, head up to Kismet, this green K. Come to this window here, hold down O on your keyboard, not 0, hold down O, and then just click. And then it will show you the question marks, and come down object value, click this green arrow. This green arrow, as you see there, use selected object in content browser. Whatever your object is that you have selected in your content browser, which is this, it will apply when you click that green arrow. So as we had this static mesh selected, it applied it in Kismet. So now that we've done that, I'm going to come up here, and this is where we will save from now on. So save current level, this first floppy disk icon, we're just going to hit save. Now, the reason we have this editor up is where we apply our textures. As you can see here, we have LOD info. We have 0, so you want to expand this, and you want to expand elements, and you have 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2. This is where you need to pay attention. These are your texture slots. If we go to Blender, shading, you'll see we have slot 1, 2, 3. Not 0, 1, 2, but 1, 2, 3. So you need to make sure your first slots, all your slots match up. So slot 1 in Blender will be slot 0 in UDK. So let's start in Blender. Slot 1 is this white color, which is the J. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this base color here. I want hex, and I'm just going to hover my mouse over here, Control C to copy. Now, this is where we will differ in terms of what we use. In Simple Shark's tutorial, everything, the textures and assets you want will be under, I think, dummy assets. Texture. Can't remember what he called it. You know, let's do this the easy way. Texture paint _2 dummy assets, texture paint, in content. Oh, okay, it's in content. So with your asset packages that you guys have, what you would want to do is click on this content folder, so engine content, and up here search for texture paint. And you want texture paint _2 text color. This is what you guys will use. I have a different startup package. I will speak to I'll speak to Shark and Swaggles to see what they want to do for this. This is what I use, and this is what I got taught to use. So we use this startup package. For this tutorial, I don't know what's going to happen if this package will end up being in the map making server before. But have a look. If it is, then all you'll need to do is move that startup package to wherever you have everything else. Where did I have it? Okay, here. So UDK custom, UDK games, or UDK game content shared. And then here is startup UDK. This is where if we do have it in the map making server, this is where you would put it. If we don't, then you can follow along and take everything from this content folder. It'll be exactly the same. So once we have this texture paint, we're going to right click, create new material instance constant, and it should pop up a window. Again, package info, we want this JS. This is where everything is going. And for the moment, I'm just going to call this texture underscore MIC. We can hit OK. And if we head into JS, now we have our texture MIC. The next thing we want to do, we can close that window down. You're going to go back into your content folder and you're going to search for level correlation lit material. So content, we can go level correlation lit material. So this is the one you want. Again, we're going to right click, new material instance constant. We want this in our JS package, and we're going to call this color underscore MIC. So this is where we're at currently. We have our static mesh, we have a color, which is basically our hex input values, so we don't have to use a texture, it can just be a flat color. And then we have this one, texture paint, which will be a material or a texture. So into Blender, slot 1 is the J, so we're going to copy this hex value. We're going to right click on color MIC. I'm going to create a copy. It's in JS. I'm going to erase color and I'm going to call this white. And we'll just hit enter. As you can see, we now have white MIC. We're going to double click. Mine opens up this way, but if it doesn't, what you want is parameter groups, vector parameter. We're going to tick color. Click on this color bar. Click inside hex, Control A, Control V. OK. Close that window, and with this texture package selected, I'm going to come into slot 0, material, and then click the green arrow. That is our J now done, and I just realized. Okay, I missed a step. This is important. We're going to pause here. We have our J textured. We're going to pause here. As you can see, this looks hollowed out. As we turn around, you can see it's like 3D here. We're missing a face. And if we come this side again, it looks 3D, we're missing a face. This was covered in Simple Shark's tutorial, and I'm going to show you what to do here as well. So we come into Blender. As you can see, everything looks fine. It's all 3D, there's nothing missing. Up on this drop down, face orientation, it's all red. Red is bad. What we're going to do, we're going to tab into edit mode, A for all. Whoops. And we're going to hit Alt N, recalculate outside to turn everything blue. Tab back into object mode, it's all blue. That's fine. We can now unselect face orientation, select our object, file, export, FBX, JS, FBX. All of our settings are still here. We're going to export. That's now solved our issue. We're going to come into UDK, right click on our static mesh, and re-import static mesh. OK to that. And as you can see, this now fixed everything. So now that that's done, let's move on to our next texture slot, slot 2. This is our bake, this is the S. So we are going to import, we've got our JS package selected, import, and we're looking for our JS texture, what did we call it? S bake. So import, S bake, open, JS. Now it automatically adds the image name. However, UDK doesn't like spaces, so what we're going to do is delete the space and just call it sbake. And OK that. And boom, it's in. So from here, double click on our texture, scroll all the way down. You might need to expand this window, but just scroll all the way down. And this very last setting, MIP gen settings, we're going to go no MIP maps. Whoops, no MIP maps. That's done, we can close it off. Texture, MIC, double click. We can then click again on sbake just once. And what we want is, this is under parameter groups. Yeah, so parameter groups, texture parameters, click diffuse, hit the green arrow, boom, JS. Whoa. We have JS, so you can see it down here as well. Select texture MIC. We're going to go to slot 1 and select the green arrow. Now for the last slot, obviously it's the last one. So we're going to bring up the hex, Control C. We want to, as we have the white, we can simply rename this. So right click, rename. You don't have to rename this as this is a simple one, but for the sake of the tutorial, we can call this grey. And we can open it up, color, click on the color, into hex value A, V for paste. OK, it changes color. We can now come into slot 2 or 3, labeled 2, but it's slot 3, and we're going to click the green arrow. And that's everything. So that's everything textured. What we're going to do is save again, just like that. Now we're going to find where it's not there, where you saved your UDK file. So I know C UDK custom UDK game content maps, and what do we call it? JS. There it is here. JS.UPK. So I'm going to copy, open up a new window, and here is where things get interesting. If you are on Steam, if you have Rocket League on Steam, Cooked PC is here. So Steam, Steam apps, or program files, Steam, Steam apps, common, Rocket League, tag, Cook PC. Then you want to go mods, AC plugin, charms. This is where you store your charms. If you are on Epic, you can do a folder browser. But for me, I know where Epic is installed. Program files, Epic, Rocket League, tag, Cooked PC, mods, AC plugin, charms. Boom, paste. So we have JS now in our charms folder. What we now need to do is add this to a JSON file. So decal textures, this is your Alpha Console area. So wherever you have Alpha Console installed, if you open up Backers Mod, go to Files, Backers Mod, Data, AC Plugin, you now want Charms. And what I'm going to do is simply copy one charm. Let's do Try House, copy, paste. Whoops. I'm now going to single click JS charm. So once this is renamed, you don't have to rename this. It's just easier to keep track of which one's which. We're going to open it up. This is the name of what is displayed inside of Alpha Console. John Sandman. Mesh path. This first part is the name of your file. So the name of our file is JS. So we're going to put JS. Then you have a dot. And then this is your static mesh. At the very beginning, when we imported it into UDK, we changed it to JS_SM, and you can see it here. Also, you can see it in this window up the top, JS_SM. So we're just going to have JS_SM, and we're going to save. Once we've done all of that, we can now open Rocket League. Now what's going to happen here is one of two things, or probably two of two things. The size will be wrong, and it may or may not be facing the wrong way, but we will see as soon as we equip it. Here's Beefy Ramen Boy. We're now going to go down to Charms and John Sandman, and it's a little bit on the big side. So this is easy to fix. What you have to remember about UPK files is that you can't, there is no refresh command for this. So even if you've done like plugin, reload, AC plugin, this will not work for your UPK files because they load up when you open Rocket League. So any changes you make to a UPK file, you need to close Rocket League, make the change, save it, move it back into the UPK folder or your mods folder, and then relaunch Rocket League. So this is big. What we need to do is rotate it to the right and scale it down. So we're going to close Rocket League, back into Blender. Well, this works. We know this works, so we no longer need our JSON file. And come into Blender, and we want to rotate it to the right. So we're going to find a rotation that rotates it to the right. This one. So we're going to rotate it by 90. Hit our X icon. And now all we need to do is scale it down. So with our object selected, I'm going to hit S and bring the mouse in, and we want to bring this up towards the line. Again, we are over. Whoops. We want to be about here. Why is this off center? 0. There we go. Let's bring it down a little bit more actually. This looks good. So we've scaled it down, we've repositioned it so it's on our center point with our object selected, export, FBX. We have all of our settings still correct. Our file name is still correct. We're going to export, open up UDK, click on our JS mesh, right click, re-import static mesh, and what you'll see is this will now change. There we go. That's now a lot smaller. Once we've made that change, save current level, this first floppy disk icon. Now it's done, we can open up where our UDK is saved. Click, copy, go to our mods folder, paste, yes, open up Rocket League. Fucking hell, this has been going on for an hour. Jesus. So once back as mod loads, you'll see the JS is now facing the right way. It is a lot smaller, but we can make this even smaller still. Once back as mod loads, and there's our JS logo. So that's how you get a logo in from Blender into UDK into the game. What I'm going to show you after I have something to eat is we will make a simple circle, a 3D circle, so you can put a logo on it. So yeah, I will be right back. Okay, so next we are going to make a simple 3D coin, like just a 3D circle, so you guys can put a logo on it. What I'm going to do, I've gone to Google, typed in SpongeBob, and I'm going to use this texture here. So we're going to save as Bob. Done. So in Blender, what we are going to do is add mesh circle. If we go top view and zoom in, you see we've got a bunch of jagged edges. We're going to expand this, and this vertices is what the jagged edges is. If I lower it, you can see. So we're going to click in there and type 50. We're going to tab into edit mode, face and fill, tab out back into object mode. From here, we can go into UV editing, and as I said before about having textures, all of our UV mesh, as you can see, it's all selected. All of our UV mesh is down here. So if we put a texture on, so if we make new material, we go to SpongeBob, back into here, and as you can see, nothing has happened. We go into UV editing, as you can see, everything is down here. We drag it all, it starts to change color as we drag it over certain spots, but nothing appears because everything is fucked up. So what we can do with our mouse on this right side, press U, project from view, bounds, done. Simple as that. And if we select part of the mesh down here, you can see this lights up this area here, and we're all good. So this is what we're going to use. If we want, we can select all and drag it, and this is then what happens. So you can move, you can scale it to however you want, but we're going to leave it as it is like that. So back into layout, what we want to do, click our object, tab into edit mode, E for extrude, Z on the Z axis, and we're going to bring it down. And again, we're going to make this about minus 0. Let's say 1. That looks decent. So now we've got our 3D object. SpongeBob is on either side. However, if we look at this side, we've got Patrick on the right, and that's flipped over. Okay, so if we go to the underside, Patrick's on the left. What we're going to do is this underside we're going to flip, so Patrick will still be on the same side, and these outer lines we're going to make black. So with our object selected, we're going to come into UV editing. We're going to select this outer edge, hold down Alt and select all. So let's do that again. We're going to select one block on this outside edge, hold down Alt on our keyboard and select the next one. Whoops. Come on. There we go. And that has now selected all of our outline ones. We come into Materials, press New, click Assign, click New, and we'll leave it as that for now. So back into Materials, we want our very first one selected, and what we need to do, this is our top side. So we're going to come underneath. This is our top view. We're going to click this set again, go to bottom view. We're going to have our mouse up here. Hold down, click, drag, so we cover the whole circle. This has now only selected the bottom. So it's upside down, but that's because it's in Blender. What we want to do is flip it so Patrick is on the other side. We're going to come over onto this left side, and it's one of these mirrors. Mirror X. It is mirror X. So let's undo that. Let's say we accidentally do mirror Y. This isn't what we want, so we can just do Control Z, right click, mirror X, and that's now good. So when you come into shading and material slot 2, we're going to make black. And that's it. We've done our materials, we've got our texture on there. So if we go to slot 1, we have our texture, we have set up our UV, so we're all good. Now we can do the same as before. Come into a Y view, find a rotation, set it to 90, we're going to scale it down, and we want this set on this cross point. Set to there, whoops, and I'm going to bring this up a bit. To there. With our object selected, file, export, FBX, we're going to call this SpongeBob. We have this is our restore all, so everything is selected. This isn't what we want. Select UDK, SpongeBob, export. Going to open up UDK editor, not UDK game. Load in, load in, load in. New map, blank. And once it loads, we can then close this window. Like so. And we are going to save as all file types SpongeBob.UDK. Once it saves, we'll see it down here. SpongeBob. We are going to import our, where is this on desktop? SpongeBob 3D object. SpongeBob underscore static mesh. Okay, okay. With our object selected, we're into Kismet. Hold down O on our keyboard. Click in here. Green arrow. We can now close that. Double click, and we're now into our properties. What we're going to do is grab import. What did I call it? Did I call it SpongeBob? No, I called it Bob, didn't I? Did I call it Bob? I did. Bob. Open. Bob, yep, that's fine. Okay to that. Proceed, yep. And before I continue, no, okay. So again, what you'll want to search in your content browser. I'm going to be searching this in my startup package. Startup, fully load. So again, we want these two materials. You want to, in your content browser or in your content folder, you want to search for level correlation material or lit material. Right click, create new material instance, constant. And this goes into SpongeBob. And this is for color, so this will be black underscore MIC. Okay, that. And again, search in your content folder for texture paint underscore to text. Right click, MIC. And again, put that into SpongeBob. We will call this texture MIC. So back into SpongeBob. Come into oh my god, come into Blender. Slot 1 is our SpongeBob image. So under texture, I want to open this up, click on SpongeBob, click diffuse, click the arrow, click on texture MIC, slot 1, and the green arrow, done. Black, we can open up color. Again, we can drop this down to black. Okay, that. With this selected, we'll come into our second slot and click the green arrow. So if we have a look round, let's just close that down. So we're all good. Once this is done, we can now hit save. Maps. We'll come down to SpongeBob UPK, copy into our cooked PC charms folder, paste into Alpha Console, where our JSON files are. We're going to copy and paste JS. We're going to call this SpongeBob charm. Open up SpongeBob, and this is really easy because we've named everything the same. SpongeBob, I'm going to copy this. SpongeBob dot SpongeBob underscore SM, and we're going to save and close. As you can see here in UDK, SpongeBob underscore SM, this is our skeletal mesh, and in our UPK it's called SpongeBob. So in a JSON file it's file name SpongeBob dot static mesh, which is here. So now we can open Rocket League. Wait for backers to load. There's our JS. We can come down and SpongeBob. So all that needs to happen is it needs to rotate to the right. So we come into Blender, find a rotation, which is this one, which is to the right. So we set this to 90, come to our X view. Does it need to be scaled? We'll scale it down a little bit. We're going to quit the game. We're going to scale it a little bit. It doesn't need to be too much. Bring it up to the top. Again, I don't know why it keeps doing that. And we want that back in the center. File, export, FBX. Into UDK, into static mesh, right click, re-import. Yes. Done. Save. SpongeBob, copy from UDK into our charms folder. And now we can relaunch Rocket League. And once backers mod loads, there we have it. So from there, you can learn more about Blender or whatever 3D software you're using to make all sorts of shapes, to make borders on this. The one I'm currently doing, as of the time of this recording, is a RLCS type charm. So here's C9. Why am I pressing F2, F5? C9, we've got Dignitas. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where if you import an SVG file, you have far too many faces or vertices. This is what it can look like. C9 is the same, but it just doesn't look like that. So Dignitas and Vitality, was it? Vitality. But yeah, this is my my current goal, or my current project at the moment, to do a full RLCS set of charms. But yes, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learnt from this video. As I said, I hate UDK. I am not going to be helping. You have two tutorials to follow from. You have my one, which you're watching now, and Aceman's step-by-step in the map server. My next video will likely be custom wheels, such as these, a tutorial for making custom wheels. And then after that, I am looking to get a tutorial for custom cars. So for example, there's custom cars. Nope, wrong one. This one. So something like this is what I'll be going through, but I'm not sure how long until I start recording this. But yes, thank you for watching. Take care, and I shall see you later. Peace out.